Authors have a lot of literary devices and tools at their disposal in order to take their writing from generic to classic. And the reason why that they need a bunch of different tools in their toolbox is because especially when you're dealing with screenwriting or writing scripts and plays and stuff like that, they're meant to be acted out in front of audiences. They're meant to be performed in some way. You can find them in literary text too, because when someone is reading and you don't know who's going to be reading your book, you want to try to sometimes make connections to people that you have never met, because you want your writing to seem relatable and real, and you want them to be able to get some additional information in their minds about your characters or your plot or your conflict or something like that. So we're going to talk about the difference between symbolism and illusion. We did a lot on symbolism as freshmen, and so we are going to now kind of step that up and look at the difference between the two. So symbolism, to recap, is about you use an object to represent a larger concept or idea. And an example of that is, what does this symbolize? If you were to see this, what is your instant thought is to stop. It's a stoplight, and when you're at a stoplight and it lights up red, it means you have to stop. It represents this concept of you are not to be driving your car right now, you're not to pass through this intersection, etc. Now, the color red can also be symbolic. When we see colors of red, sometimes we think of Valentine's Day and love and passion. But sometimes when we see red, it can represent like evil and deception. And just depending on your context will depend on which meaning we are supposed to be looking at. So looking at this picture, using our context clues and using our schema and our knowledge, we know that this doesn't mean love. This doesn't represent passion. This represents you need to stop. And the same is in your writing as well. Just because somebody has a pet in the story doesn't mean that they're trying to make some larger concept about loyalty. And so you have to use what you know about the context, about the characters, and about the overall theme to determine whether or not something is symbolic. So then illusion is when you are making a reference to another piece, another movie, another character, another like right now, let the games be, or may the odds ever in your favor. That's a really good one. That's, we know that that's from Hunger Games and Katniss. And so people will sometimes do the little mockingjay or symbol, like kind of not may the force be with you. But I mean, that's one from Star Wars. So there's these different sayings and there's different characters that when we make reference to it, it gives us an additional thing to connect to and put a different image in our mind. And then, I mean, the example I have here is if you called somebody like a Scrooge or a Grinch, we know that that's from the Christmas Carol or How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And if somebody was like, okay, Grinch, like it tells us they're in a bad mood. It tells us they're, maybe being pessimistic about something and that sort of thing. And then, the point is we need to sometimes establish a foundation that the audience can connect with. This makes your writing seem much more relatable and much more real. It makes your words come to life. And when they're on the stage, it makes them feel like it's it's real life, and they're just watching a movie. They're watching something that could actually be realistic and actually be taking place, and it makes them more invested. So now it is going to be your turn. You are going to you guys have Post-it notes at your table. You're going to draw a symbol that you believe represents you. An object, a shape, a color, something. On the other sticky note, I want you to write a quote, a line, a character, something like one of the examples that I gave that you hear a lot of times that can be used as allusions. And go put those on the anchor charts up at the front.